giving all praises, honor, and glory to our power Yahweh. Hashem Yahweh Shah, Hashem Rachakodash, double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders, great millstone, peace and blessings to the hopefully elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, wherever you may be, to I say Shalom. All right, we're in Joshua chapter 11. It says, Northern Palestine taken. And it came to pass when Jabin, king of Hazor, had heard those things, that he sent to Jobab, king of Madon, and to the king of Shimron, and to the king of Akshah. All right, basically referring to the events of the previous chapter. 5 kings attack Gibeon. All right, victory at Makeda. Joshua's conquest of South Palestine. All right, where he killed the kings from the cave and buried their bones in the cave, or shut the bones up. He didn't like bury, but threw the bones in there and shut them up, right? So you're hearing about these events. It says, and to the kings that were on the north of the mountains, and of the plains south of Chinneroth, and in the valley, and in the borders of Dor on the west. Now you go to Chinneroth, all right? It says Chinneroth or Chinneroth, all right? Harps, the early name of the Sea of Galilee. Okay, so you can actually pull that up here. All right, so yeah, there you has the name right there. Sea of Galilee. Okay. Look, here's another one. You can see the Salt Sea there, the Jordan River, and it says Chinnereth. Okay. But it says what? Early name of the Sea of Galilee, because Sea of Galilee is in the north, and the Salt Sea is the same as the Dead Sea. All right. So it says, and in the valley and in the borders of Dor on the west, and to the Canaanite on the east and on the west, and to the Amorite and the Hittite and the Perizzite and the Jebusite in the mountains, and to the Hivite under Hermon in the land of Mizpah. All right, which Hermon is further south, below Judah. I'm sorry, not Judah, Jerusalem, like kind of southwestward beneath Judah. I keep saying Judah, Jerusalem. Okay. The mountain on the northeastern border of Palestine and Lebanon, overlooking the border of the city of Dan. I was looking at the other thing. I'm not sure if we'll get the whole thing up there. There's some familiar names there. There's Hazor. Because these maps are sometimes iffy. That's why we try to look and see if. Well, actually, there's one. Maybe not. Okay. Oh, that's the same map we just saw. I mean, you see it. And actually, I'm thinking about not Hermon. I said it was south of Jerusalem, didn't I? I'm thinking about something else. Excuse me. Because there's Mount Hermon there. I was thinking about something else that was south of Judah. So like Mount Hermon is not south of Jerusalem. I was thinking about something else. Because when I was getting confused there, I was thinking about something else in the back of my mind. Let me go back here. Because yeah. So yeah, we read that. So under Hermon in the land of Mizpah, and they went out, they and all their host with them, much people, even as the sand that is upon the sea shore in multitude. So they were very, very, pretty much a deep army, with horses and chariots, very many. And when all these kings were met together, see, because all these kings come together to make that great army, all these kings were met together. They came and pitched together at the waters of Merom to fight against Israel. And I don't know if we'll be able to find that, but let's see where we can find this encampment at. The lake in northern Canaan, at which Joshua routed the northern confederacy headed by Jabin. So we may actually be able to find it. As a matter of fact, I should have highlighted that. We'll come back if we need to may actually get it. And if not, got a question mark here. So they're not really sure. Galilee, Merom. Let's go back. Let's see what it does if we grab this here. Okay, so they give us a whole map of the conquest. May not be able to find that. I mean, there is a Merom right there. It's the same as the other map up in Upper Galilee. There's Hazor right there to the right. Sharath. I believe Mizrafath Ma'in pops up later in this chapter. Okay. And it does say Joshua's defeat of the northern kings. Joshua chapter 11, verses 1 through 9, which is where we are. Okay, so, I mean, you pretty much see there. Just kind of try to map the conquest when we can. Okay. So, moving on, it says, and Yahweh said unto Joshua, be not afraid because of them, for tomorrow about this time will I deliver them up all slain before Israel. And that's the key into the whole entire chapter. All right, because the Lord, once again, as he's done before, he already promised that you will get victory in this battle. Okay, that's all we needed. You just had to go fight. So it says, thou shalt hoe their horses and burn their chariots with fire. Basically going to wound them, the hamstring, stuff like that. You can pull it up, see it's cut. All right, and it says hamstring. Okay, so yeah, so wound their horses. To exterminate, take down. We'll put a root up. All right. It says, thou shalt hold their horses and burn their chariots with fire, because those were the ancient vehicles back then. All right, when people riding around in Maseratis back then. Okay, Beamer, Benz, and Bentley, they had chariots. Okay, and it says, so Joshua came and all the people of war with them against them by the waters of Merom suddenly, and they fell upon them. All right, and that's, I think I read this earlier in another version where it kind of give you more a little bit. I don't know if it was the AMP or the NLT, but I often read the AMP sometimes too. Look, even here, what we just spoke about, the Sea of Galilee. Okay, and in the lowland on the hills of Dor on the west, to the Canaanite in the east and in the west, so on and so forth. All those things we read there. Hivite at the foot of Mount Hermon in the land of Mizpeh. They went out, they and all their armies with them, as many people as the sand of the seashore, with very many horses and chariots. So all these kings met, and they came and encamped together at the waters of Merom to fight against Israel. Then Yahweh said to Joshua, do not be afraid because of them, for tomorrow by this time I am going to hand over all them slain by the sword to Israel. You shall, there's right there, you shall hamstring or disable their horses and set fire to their chariots. Okay, so there's one thing to use the horses for war, but even if it was outside of war, horses are a good thing for transportation and, carrying things of that nature. So the horses are completely put out of commission along with the army. And the chariots too, because they burn the chariots with fire. So Joshua and all the people of war with him came against them suddenly by the waters of Merom and attacked them. Yahweh handed them over to Israel, who struck them and pursued them as far as Great Sidon and Mizrafath Maim. Yeah, we just saw that on the map, right? To the east, which that was right close to the Mediterranean. So as far as Great Sidon, because Tyre and Sidon is in Lebanon, all right, and Mizrafath Maim, and eastward as far as the valley of Mizpah. They struck them down until no survivor was left. Joshua did to them as Yahweh had told them. He hamstrung, disabled their horses, and set fire to their chariots. At that time, Joshua turned back and captured Hazor and struck its king dead with the sword, for Hazor previously was the head of all these kingdoms. They struck all the people who were in it with the edge of the sword, utterly destroying them. There was no one left who breathed, and he set fire to Hazor. Joshua captured, if I'm correct, it says that Joshua burned. We might go back to the KJV. Joshua captured all the cities of these kings, and all their kings, and he struck them with the edge of the sword, utterly destroying them, just as Moses, the servant of the Lord Yahweh, had commanded, which goes to show you, it goes back to our history. Because if you get the cross reference here, and there's Deuteronomy right there. Even Numbers. Then you shall drive out all the, in Numbers 33 and 52, all the inhabitants of the land before you, and destroy all their sculpted images, and destroy all their cast idols, and completely eliminate all their idolatrous high places. You shall take possession of the land and live in it, for I have given you the land to possess it. Deuteronomy 72, and when Yahweh your power gives them over to you, and you defeat them, then with that, see, foretold already, then you shall utterly destroy them. You shall not make a covenant treaty with them, nor show mercy and compassion on them. Okay, so yeah, I mean, you really can't even say it more simple than that. All right, because it's pretty much plain. Deuteronomy 20:16, only the cities of these peoples that Yahweh your power is giving you as an inheritance, you shall not leave alive anything that breathes, but you shall utterly destroy them, the Hittite, the Amorite, the Canaanite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, the Jebusite, just as Yahweh your power commanded you. See? So already foretold, even back when we were traveling with Moses. But Israel did not burn any. Oh, here it is right here. Yep. Israel did not burn any of the cities that stood walled and fortified on their mounds, except Hazor alone, which Joshua burned. All right. The sons of Israel took as their plunder all the spoil of these cities and the cattle, but they struck every man with the edge of the sword until they had destroyed them. They left no one alive, like we just read in the precepts. Just as Yahweh had commanded Moses his servant, so Moses had commanded Joshua. Oh, see, right there. Okay, the history we just read. Just as Yahweh had commanded Moses his servant, so Moses had commanded Joshua, and so Joshua did. He left nothing undone of all that Yahweh had commanded Moses. Okay, because the Lord said it to Moses, and I think Moses gave Joshua a pep talk, all right, in his final days. Okay, like in the last chapter of Deuteronomy. All right, pretty much, those last couple, maybe few chapters were leading up to a transition. Uh, you know, I mean, I guess you want to call it power if you want, but you get the point. All right, but eventually, Moses, he slipped. Okay, and Joshua took leadership of the Israelites. Who he was always close to Moses. He was like his right hand man almost. You often hear, read passages, and then Joshua was there. So Joshua took all this land, the hill country, all the Negev, the south country, all the land of Goshen, the lowland, and the Arabah plain, the hill country of Israel, and its lowland. All right, and we know, as it just says here, there's a lot of hill countries in our particular area. Okay, especially centered around like Jerusalem. Okay, from Mount Halak that rises towards Seir in the south, even as far as Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon at the foot of Mount Hermon in the north. He captured all their kings and struck them and put them to death. And so if you're really following along, it's a major stretch of land that we conquered, through military campaigns, all right, from the north to the south, even towards the west, okay. And I guess you could mention the east too, though we came from the east, over to Jordan. I mean, if you want to really mention it that way too. So it says Joshua waged war with all these kings a long time, at least 5 years. Okay. Now it doesn't say this in the KJV, but I'm glad it does say that here, because what you notice, like when we get a couple chapters from here, it'll mention how Joshua was old now, but there was still work to be done. So Joshua's whole life was pretty much captivity. All right, in Egypt. All right, wilderness with Moses. Okay, and then war. All right, which probably the majority, maybe, I'm not sure, but we'll say the majority of the latter half of his life was all war. All right, even up into his old age. Okay, so it says Joshua waged war with all these kings a long time, at least 5 years. There was no city, because it takes time to fight some battles. All right, there was no city that made peace with the Israelites except the Hivites living in Gibeon. They took all the others in battle. Yeah, because remember the Gibeonites, they lied and say that we come from a far country. Oh, we're your servants, this, that, and the third thing. And they really actually lied and put on a show with old garments and, old things, all right, to really sell the character that they were portraying, all right, to us. And then we found out 3 days later and rode up on them. But, though the people were angry, we couldn't kill them because of pretty much there was a vow, a pact made. So instead of killing them, which would have, caused the anger of the Lord to even come upon us, all right, even though they're heathens, but, we there was a contract, all right, so we couldn't break it, even though they were heathens, all right. So what happened is they got made slaves, all right, hewers of wood and drawers of water, okay, so they became slaves forever. But they took, that takes away some of our work, so that was less that we had to do, right? There was no city that made peace with the Israelites except the Hivites living in Gibeon. They took all the others in battle. For it was the purpose of Yahweh to harden their hearts, to meet Israel. You see, same thing he said about Pharaoh. All right, for this purpose, this purpose I have raised ye up. Okay, he kept hardening Pharaoh's heart, and then it'll make him change. Okay, I get it. And then like, no, forget that. Okay, I get it. No. We about to get him. Okay, so the Lord was doing that over and over and over to build him up to the point where he was so pissed off that he would chase the Israelites unto his own death. All right, in Exodus chapter 14, where he was drowned in the waters in the sea. And before then, leading up to that, because of him, the Lord making his heart harden, those plagues were brought upon Egypt, which it completely just decimated that kingdom. For it was the purpose of the Lord Yahweh to harden their hearts, to meet Israel in battle, so that Israel would utterly destroy them, that they would receive no mercy, but that Israel would destroy them, just as the Lord Yahweh had commanded Moses. See, going back to that same scripture again. I don't know if we'll Deuteronomy 2. That's something different though. Deuteronomy 20. Yep, I think we read that, if I'm correct. But you get the point. It's the history there, so I'm gonna have to read it over. Verse 21. Then Joshua came at that time and cut off the Anakim from the hill country, from Hebron, from Debir, from Anab, and from all the hill country of Judah and all the hill country of Israel. Joshua utterly destroyed them with their cities. Right now, when it goes, let me go to the KJV real quick, because I believe it says giants here. I want to make sure we clear that up, because if I'm correct, it does say giants here in one of these chapters. If it's not this one, maybe it's the next one. Joshua made war a long time with all those kings. There was not a city that made peace with the children of Israel, save the Hivites. Okay, we just read that. We read that. For it was Yahweh to harden their hearts, that they should come against Israel in battle, that he might destroy them utterly, and that they might have no favor, but that he might destroy them, as Yahweh commanded Moses. And at that time came Joshua and cut off the Anakims from the mountains of Hebron, from Debir, from Anab, and from all the mountains of Judah, and from all the mountains of Israel. Joshua destroyed them utterly with their cities. There were none of the Anakims left in the land of the children of Israel. Only in Gaza, in Gath, and in Ashdod there remained. All right, if you're familiar with that, all right. Remember, what's his doggone name? Goliath, right? I think he was from I think he's from Gath. All right, it's either Gath or Ashdod. I almost want to say it was Gath. Okay. As a matter of fact, let me see. I know it's not. Oh, wait, I hit the wrong button. So it's not important, but since I'm thinking about it, let's see if Goliath of Gath. Oh, it is right there. Yep, see Goliath of Gath. Yep, see. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits in a span. All right, so he was a Hamite. Okay, if you didn't know. And because they'll try to show you like in these movies and or maybe even books or history, whatever the case may be, and he was a super giant man with a red beard and stuff like that. Okay, make it seem like he was, I don't know if they're trying to make him seem like he was an Edomite or whatever he was. I don't know, but that was sometimes shown like that, like a big ass caveman looking Edomite type of You know, this guy was he probably super dark too. As a matter of fact, pretty sure he was probably super dark. There was none of the Anakims left in the land of the children of Israel, only in Gaza and Gath and in Ashdod there remained. So Joshua took the whole land according to all that Yahweh sent unto Moses, and Joshua gave it for an inheritance unto Israel, according to their divisions by their tribes, because the lands were parted up by tribes, right? And which, as we read on, it breaks down that in all the, in not all the chapters, but a big portion of chapters there, who got where and what land, okay? And the land rested from war. I want to check this NLT real quick, because it may be in the next chapter, but I know one of these chapters mentioned the giants, and I want to clear up what it means when it says giants, okay? If it's in the next chapter, it's okay, we'll pick up then, because these chapters here are pretty much short. Yeah, I don't really see it. So yeah, so that was a quick, straightforward chapter. It wasn't much to talk about there, okay? Just that it was promised that we would take over these lands, and this is what we were doing, right, in real time. So, we'll pretty much leave it at that. Lord, will you edify to the next time? That's what I'm going to say. Shalom.